Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Cinema Attacks. We are live. My name is Tom, and with me, usually, is Eli. Say hello, Eli.
Hello. I wasn't going to say hello, Eli. That would be cheesy.
Yes, that would qualify as a dad joke, and that's not what we need here.
No, we've heard enough of those.
We're just gonna bullshit about movies for a little while, and we'll also discuss Luis Bunuel's 1965 Mexican film Simon of the Desert, a film of religious mockery. That should be
Everyone's
fun.
favorite genre.
Oh, oh shit. Okay. James is here. Hail Satan.
Hello, James.
I have on the. I was playing this earlier.
Oh yeah, just the self-titled Dismember.
The Last Dismember.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I just recently got it. I didn't have it before. I had heard it, but I didn't physically own a physical copy.
It's a great way to go out. If you're gonna quit being a band, that's a good way to do it. Putting out a good album.
Yeah, did they officially retire?
They did, yeah, they did for a while, but I guess now they're back. So I think like on a semi-permanent basis, like back. Like I think they want to make albums again. Pretty sure, but I know they at least reunited to play shows and stuff. But I think they're back.
Well, I know they've been playing shows
Yeah.
not too long ago, but well, there's no such thing as retirement really in rock
Mm-mm.
and roll.
No. There's always room for them to come back. But yeah, I believe if I remember correctly, when they disbanded the first time, I'm pretty sure they were like, yeah, this is it. But like you said, they intended to be gone. But I'm glad they're back.
Yeah, Spinal Tap is coming back.
Dude, I saw Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap in the theater the other day. It was so awesome. I mean, I'd seen it before, but seeing it in the theater was so cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just because there are actual people in the theater laughing at everything.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was laughing way more than everyone else combined. I almost wanted to start yelling at them. Like some people were being there in such wet blankets. I'm like, fucking laugh, man. I was laughing my ass off. The loudest person in the theater by far.
Yeah, I was gonna do a video about that movie,
Oh man,
sort of a deep because I got that CD-ROM,
oh yeah.
so I wanted to like deep dive some stuff on it. Um, but it's one of those that I've seen so many times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I have the Blu-ray. I haven't even watched the Blu-ray, other
I
than
either.
I was watching the deleted scenes and stuff.
Mm.
Just because, especially during the '90s on TV, like it would even play on like VH1 or it
Oh
was just
yeah, they play it on the music channels.
um it was just I just watched it so many times. So I'm looking forward to rewatching it just on the basis that I've been away from it for a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, are are you burnt out on it, or maybe at this point you
Well,
weren't?
I was where
Yeah.
it's just like I am practically have it memorized, and there's certain other movies like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It just reminded me of how it is. Probably for me, it's easily like a top five comedy of all time. It's just so damn good.
Simon, what's up? And Scott is not here today. He got arrested.
Again.
Yeah, again. So I don't think we should really get into it too much. We can ask him next week.
Yeah, we're not really sure if he's comfortable with telling the truth. I mean, telling the story of what happened.
Yeah.
His version. I mean,
Yeah, it's desert weather today. This is fitting. I was sweating my balls off.
it's yeah. Even in England, Simon, what is it? 60, 65 there? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I've never been.
they have a
I'm talking
different
shit about England. I've never even been there.
they yeah, a rap as long as my arm. They have a different system. They
Celsius.
they have the foreigner system.
I know. He probably heard me say that and like, shut the fuck up with your Fahrenheit bullshit.
I don't know if Simon realizes, but the rest of the world has certain systems like the metric system, and then in America we call our system the standard system.
Yes.
So that's how we Americans think everything revolves around them. That our system of measuring
So fucking true.
that is not the standard. We call it the standard system.
The standard.
That's how they teach you in school. It's metric and then the standard system.
Which is basically right way to do it and the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
We basically took a system that already worked just fine and made our own. We benefited nothing from it. What a waste. What a waste of fucking time, man. Can you imagine that? The engineers or whatever that put that.
Yeah. All right, we can talk about what we've been watching.
Hell yeah.
And anyone in the chat, but I have not seen another movie in the theater since 28 years later.
Yeah.
Is there something you wanted to, I did buy the 4K Barry Lyndon that came out on Tuesday, the Criterion 4K. I have not watched any of it yet.
Yeah, I looked it up because I told you I had not seen that movie, so I read about it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big Kubrick fan. It's probably my number 4 Kubrick movie.
Yeah,
which is saying a lot.
It is. Yeah, that's high. Considering especially the quality of his work, like it didn't, in my opinion, it didn't really like wane much. You know what I mean? I think I'd have to check, make sure I've seen all of it, but everything I've seen from Kubrick ranges from great to very good. And doesn't really dip below that.
I don't think I can never remember the name of it, but his first movie.
I bet I haven't seen that.
that he disowns.
Oh, okay.
Or did disown.
Yeah, I'm almost guaranteeing I haven't seen it.
What the fuck is that? Oh, Fear and Desire.
I have heard of it, but yeah, no, definitely haven't seen it.
I only saw it once, but I don't think it's very good.
Yeah. Was it probably like in the 60s or
how
old is
53?
53. Holy shit. Oh,
you're way off.
Yeah. Yeah, I will admit to not being a Kubrick expert, but of the like 5 or 6 movies that I've seen of his, I hold pretty high.
Well, I don't know if I'm a Kubrick expert exactly, but
yeah,
fairly knowledgeable. And I don't think Killer's Kiss is that great. It's really cool.
That one either.
It's really cool for a low budget, very very low budget noir.
Okay.
And then to me, Spartacus and Lolita are not great.
Ooh, oh my! So I haven't seen Lolita. This is funny because the other day I was flipping through Tubi and I clicked the wrong thing or something, and I clicked on Lolita, and I was like, oh, Jeremy Irons. I'm not gonna say it's not a good movie, but I watched about the first minute and a half. I'm like, I'm not ready for this.
You're talking about the remake?
Oh, is that not the? Which one did Kubrick do?
1960.
Oh shit! My bad. Oh fuck. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about the one from the 90s.
Yeah, I guess I thought that was his movie.
No.
Okay. Either way, I don't think I'm ready for the original either. I'm not trying to sound like someone who clearly does not understand a movie, but I just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, well, she's 14 in the novel.
Yeah, it's not really something I'm super comfortable with. But I think it just I've been, I know people that have read the novel, And most of them would tell me that obviously if you're judging it for the 14-year-old girl part, like you're obviously you're missing out on all of the everything else basically, but still it's a tough sell, I think, for someone who already isn't is not comfortable with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, I think the Kubrick movie kind of misses. A, I don't think they could get away with certain things that they wanted to.
That's true.
Um, but like James Mason seems just sort of like how can I say this? Like overly sympathetic in that movie to where it's like he's just a sucker, I guess. Like this girl is taking advantage of him,
Hmm.
and
A
and
14-year-old girl is taking advantage of a 40-year-old man.
yeah, and then
That'd be hard to do.
but the point of the book to me
uh,
was that he's more of a scumbag that thinks because he's so smart and
mm,
poetic that he moralizes everything.
yeah,
Like he has,
he's found the way to justify it.
yeah, he's found a way to justify it through his like poetic prose.
Yeah.
Um, but they don't really. And James Mason in the Kubrick movie just seems sort of like a hapless schmuck, and it's sort of. And there's some other things where I think just because of they couldn't get away with it, some stuff
Mhm.
doesn't really work that well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But other than that, and Spartacus is good. It's just like there's like sort of theory that basically Kirk Douglas practically co-directed it, or Kubrick didn't have authority on it.
Mm.
Um,
He was kind of strong armed, pretty much.
yeah, it was more of like a for hire thing, but I think it's fine for what it's good for one of those types of movies.
But it's not. Yeah, I see. But it's not like it's not a Kubrick movie as far as like it's not his vision like his other movies are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then other than that, I think his movies are pretty much fantastic. I mean, there's certain things I could quibble with, maybe certain scenes in certain movies, but the killing is awesome. Paths of Glory, all Full Metal Jacket, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Hmm. That's where it gets into the great stuff.
Yeah, and people love Lolita, so I've heard like some people say it's one of their favorite Kubrick movies.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So that's the one where I don't, I'm not on board with everybody else's or some people's opinions on it.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Yeah, but that's what makes it interesting, I guess, right?
but other than that, I'm a huge fan. So
Yeah, I mean, I even like his later stuff, the
well,
90s,
yeah,
early
I mean, because
2000s.
Eyes Wide Shut is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And that was way what 40 years into his career.
Further than that,
Yeah.
it was almost well when he started filming, it was because he basically started in like 1950 making short films.
Yeah, so over 50 years probably then cuz Eyes Wide Shut was that was early 2000s?
No, it came out in '99, but he
Okay,
started
99.
he started it a couple of years before that.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
that movie I think has might still have the Guinness Book of World Record of the most continuous shooting
Oh, that's
of
right.
a movie because I think they shot for 400 days or something.
Yeah, that's so long. Over a year. You'd be but at that point, yeah, you'd be so sucked into that story.
Oh, you mean like the people working on it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be insane.
Yeah, and then because Cruz and Kidman were actually married,
Yep.
so that for a year they're playing this squabbling couple that's nothing like them in real life,
Hmm.
apparently, from what they said.
Yeah.
So
Which
I
that would be
mean,
hard to do by itself.
Well, yeah, they got divorced eventually. I imagine it was like super tough for them.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, I also like just I'm also picturing. I mean, just from what I've heard about people that have worked with Kubrick, can you imagine working with him for that long? I bet some of those people. Who knows? Maybe he was cool at that time, but I can't imagine he was easy to work with for a year, over a year. 13 months or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's, I mean, famously Shelley Duvall,
Oh yeah,
like he
poor Shelley.
yelled and screamed at her
Yeah,
a lot. Um,
but that was he might have mellowed out by the time the Eyed Wide Shut, was happening. Who knows?
but generally, a lot of the actors seem to like working with him,
Oh, okay.
and but he more so than almost any director was very in charge in terms of
Yeah,
on a technical basis.
yeah.
Um,
He did not. He was one of those not no compromise type directors.
well, yes, but I mean in terms of if you're a crew person, you don't really have a say in anything.
Right.
So like the cinematographer is not going to be like, we should start out with the wide shot and then do this and go
Yeah.
here.
You're probably gonna wait for the directions from Kubrick. Probably.
Yeah, he's just he's in charge. Even because I even heard a thing where there was this a story in Clockwork Orange where he was telling the sound guy which mics to use. Um, like we need to switch to lav mics or switch to this mic, which and that never almost never happens on a film set where they're that specific, like which the director is like telling the sound guy which mics to use.
Yeah, I imagine typically the sound guy is in control of that. I mean, since that is their specialty and everything.
Yeah, I mean, but usually directors aren't even that aware to even in the technology wise to
Yeah,
even
not even probably have an interest in like learning all that shit.
like as long as it sounds fine, they don't really care. But Kubrick even built his own lenses and stuff, so he was like a technical expert.
Yeah, I those are to me those are just the funnest directors to like delve into, like their story and stuff, because it's like I love learning of like how meticulous they were and how they were doing things that most other directors wouldn't do. And those are the best for me, even if they are if they have a reputation for being wild or crazy or rude or whatever. It's just makes them interesting to me.
Yeah, I read an interview with the actress in Eyes Wide Shut who gets HIV, the plays the
Oh
prostitute that gets HIV, and
yeah,
I forgot her name, and
me
she's
too.
in oh, I can't remember. But anyways,
She's in other stuff.
sh- she obs- she had an interesting observation that the way Kubrick would, because Kubrick is famous for doing like the most number of takes,
Oh yeah,
and he would do 60 takes or something.
Jesus Christ.
But the way she said that the way he would do it on Eyes Wide Shut is he would just look at one aspect at a time and then look at the acting last. So he would like for example, let's do the shot, but I'm only looking at the lighting. I'm not paying attention to, so they would do a first take,
Okay,
but he's only looking at the lighting.
makes sense. I see where he's going.
And then take two, they adjust the lighting. And then take three until the lighting's perfect. And then he only looks at the camera movement
Yeah,
or whatever the order is.
yeah. So there's not a detail he's really missing, essentially.
Correct. And then so he's only focusing, so the next 10, he's only focusing on the camera. Okay, that's perfect. And then the last thing is now he's looking at the acting. So it would sometimes be for the first 30 takes, he's not even looking at the actors, paying attention to them. He's just
Yeah,
trying to look at everything else.
yeah. He
So
not to deviate, but like with directors, I've always wondered about this. I could have researched it, but like, uh, when directors go to film school, do you think that they
well,
how how
I went to film school, so
okay, how much like um how much technical knowledge does a typical director have when it comes to camera work and stuff like that, cinematography or just operating a camera in general? Or does it vary by director? I'm sure, but
it varies a lot. There's some that don't
yeah.
have any.
Oh, okay.
Usually they have at least a little bit of camera and lighting at a minimum.
Yeah.
Um, so it just varies wildly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, for example, like I used to work in the veterinary industry. I wasn't a veterinarian, but I worked with them. And like, so when they would go to when they went to veterinary school, when they came out, like when you take your cat to a veterinarian, not all veterinarians are the same. Some know surgery, some don't really know surgery, but they all went to the same school. You know what I mean? But some of them, there's so much to know that's, you go in different directions. I guess that's kind of how I saw directors too. Like maybe some of them know a shitload about directing photography, and then maybe some know very little. But I always wondered what it was like through their eyes.
It yeah. I mean, yeah, it just varies wildly.
Yeah,
The main thing is that you're directing actors, and then you understand what the story is and like what the world is.
yeah,
So you, as long as at a minimum you can do that, where you can explain to someone like what's the feeling of this set to the like production designer,
yeah.
and then they can figure it out. Another guy, and I worked with a guy that worked on True Lies. So
Love that movie.
James Cameron is another one where he kind of technically knew everything about movie making and was very hands on.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard like he's a director that he could shoot a movie easily if he needed to.
Yeah, yeah, he could DP a movie. He's
Yeah,
been a production designer and a model maker. He's done VFX.
yeah. He's done everything because he started at the bottom. He's done it all by now.
Yeah. Um, so then you would hear that you would just hear him getting really pissed if people were trying to cut corners or trying to pull the
Oh,
wool over his eyes.
oh shit.
Like there's no way. Like someone would say, "There's no way we can get that shot," or just out of laziness. Like
I was gonna say we all get a little lazy at work. We've all done it. I'm sure these guys are no different.
yeah, but you can't. But then he knows that what you're saying is bullshit. And he would get really pissed about that.
That's like insulting at that point when you know someone's lying to you.
Yeah, because I worked with this guy in the show, and I think he was like a grip or something on True Lies, and he said that Cameron yelled at this guy, and then he said, "I'm not going to fire you. Your punishment is that you have to keep working with me." And that was his James Cameron's retort, which I
That's
thought was
great.
funny.
It is funny. It was what so like when I was a little kid, when I was funny when I was watching movies, I for years and years I thought that the director was always the cameraman. That's just what I thought until I was probably like 15. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what I thought.
yeah. Like that's the guy, man. He's he's filming it and he's talking to people somehow at the same time. But yeah.
Yeah, so you're a um, what's his face? Jesus. So you think everybody's Soderbergh because
Yeah.
generally he would be the DP on, or usually has been on his movies.
Did you
But
see his last movie, the Presence? I thought it was pretty good.
he has so many movies at this point,
Yeah.
and I've seen quite a few of them. It seems like
Yeah. Yeah, I'd recommend Presence. It was cool.
okay.
They talked about it on Red Letter Media, I believe. Can't remember if they reviewed it or if they just breezed through it in one of their breakdowns of recent movies.
Yeah, movies they saw this year
Yeah,
thing.
but I think I'm pretty sure they both liked it a lot, if I remember correctly. Mike and Jay.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Um,
Something's worth checking out if Mike doesn't sound like he's utterly bored talking about
mm.
or shitting on it the whole time.
um, yeah, so we were talking about Kubrick and Barry Lyndon. So, but Barry Lyndon's 3 hours long, so I have to carve out time for it.
Yeah, yeah. The movie I saw in the theater since last week, I saw Superman.
Ah,
Believe it or not, I really fucking liked it. Actually, I went because I initially had no interest at all. I've never been a Superman fan, never really been a DC guy, so thought the
I,
trailer
I
was pretty good.
I like the first two movies a lot.
I
After
do too.
and
Yeah, the
I don't
Reeves.
really give a shit other than that.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Anyone that grew up around the time we did, you're likely a fan of those Christopher Reeves Superman movies. But yeah, I really like. The reason I decided to see it is because I read something that James Gunn was talking about. He was talking about how he incorporated a lot of what's going on in the world currently, which is probably going to be something that's going to turn a lot of people off. They're probably going to call him Woker Man or something, but I thought it was really, really good. I literally, I probably enjoyed pretty much every second of it. Not saying it's a masterpiece, but I just liked it a lot.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things, but I'm just really super not interested, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally know what you mean. That's how I felt too.
Like I've just totally gave up on superhero movies.
Yeah, me too.
Other than I saw the Batman,
I liked
um,
it. Yeah, I like the
which I
Batman.
liked. Okay, it was just way too long.
Too long. Yeah.
If they do another Punisher movie, I'll definitely check
Hell
that
yeah.
out.
Oh yeah. With freaking John Bernthal. I thought that Punisher show was fantastic. The Netflix one.
Hmm.
It was awesome.
Um, or whoever's doing it, you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really care.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, and I rewatched. Simon mentioned True Lies. I rewatched Trading Places a couple weeks ago. So Jamie Lee has a pretty great boob scene
Yeah. Yeah, I
in
haven't
that.
seen that in a long time. That would be good one to rewatch. I love True Lies. I think that's a great movie.
Yeah, I got the 4K of it, and I watched like a third of it, and it looks so ridiculous. I had to turn it off, so I haven't gotten to rewatch it. Um, but I really liked that movie when I saw it in the theater.
It's a fun movie. It's just fun. It's like it's got there's so much going on, the story is just pretty great and it's always continuously changing and it's always interesting and I always liked it. It was one of my favorite Schwarzenegger movies. And probably his last good one, really. Or really good one.
Um,
Although I didn't see Maggie, that's one that a lot of people like.
well, in his heyday, because after that, he had Eraser.
Which was
Uh,
a middle of the road.
yeah, um,
End of Days, remember that one?
yeah, that was
That
that
could have
was
been a cool movie.
that was okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I was a big Schwarzenegger fan as a kid, and I think I'd have to look up, but there's a long run where I saw all of his movies in the theater.
Yeah, me too. So yeah,
Uh,
True Lies to be more accurate. True Lies would be the end of, or pretty much the end of the first phase of his career, and kind of a high point too. But after that, it was kind of just he didn't have anything to prove at that point.
yeah, so I'll read off. So I saw these in the theater. And keep in mind, this is when I started. I was 7 years old.
Yep.
Okay. Predator, Running Man, Red Heat, Twins, Total Recall, Kindergarten Cop, Terminator 2, uh, Dave. He was in Dave.
I'm not. I don't remember what Dave is.
That's the Kevin Kline is a presidential lookalike.
Damn, I think that one went over my head. I don't remember it.
Oh yeah, I don't remember since the theater. Fuck. Okay, Dave, Last Action Hero, True Lies, Junior, Eraser, Jingle All the Way. So those are all his movies in a row, and I saw all of them in the theater. And
Cool.
then the one that breaks it up is Batman and Robin. I did not see Batman and Robin in the theater.
I probably did. It's terrible. It's a fucking awful movie. There, no redeeming qualities to that one,
I did see it eventually out of curiosity.
except for maybe Jim Carrey's Riddler. Maybe kind of fun, but that's arguable. Of course, it's probably stupid.
um, yeah, and they're remaking The Running Man. I wanted to watch that trailer. I have not watched it yet.
I haven't either. A lot of people are saying that it looks awesome. A lot of people are feeling really good about it because they love what's his name, Edgar. I was gonna say Edgar Winter,
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, which I do love some Edgar Wright stuff, but some of it just doesn't work for me. But then he has movies with that I feel like I don't get it because like everyone loves. Like I didn't really get Baby Driver, and I'm not a big Scott Pilgrim fan either. That movie just didn't do anything for me.
I didn't see Baby Driver, and I did not like Scott Pilgrim that much.
Yeah, people love it. I don't know, but Baby Driver, yeah, it's just like everyone loves this movie. It just I couldn't get into it at all, but he's done some classics in my opinion too, so that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sort of because honestly, the last time I obviously when I saw it as a kid, like this is the best movie of all time, right?
Yeah,
But rewatching it is a concept I think you could improve upon.
yeah, and the
Um,
original's cool. Yeah, the storyline is awesome. I love the story.
yeah. Um, and there's just like some cheap and chintzy things about it.
There is, yeah, yeah. I have a feeling. I assume that his version is going to be more in his style, which is going to be kind of kooky and kind of kind of silly and over the top. But we'll see.
Yeah, another one a trailer I saw in the theater was the Naked Gun remake.
What'd you think?
I'll just say that nobody in the theater laughed a single time.
Oh my god. Oof.
Did you see the trailer?
As soon as I mean, I like Liam Neeson, but I'm like, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, how is he the right guy for this? I don't know. Doesn't
Yes, I never saw the Total Recall remake, but that's a movie
yeah,
where,
didn't need a remake.
yeah, it didn't need a remake unless you want to go to the original story, which I think is quite different, and you want to do like a more authentic version of that. But
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, how do you remake Paul Verhoeven stuff? Like I don't think anything he's
yeah,
done needs a remake.
but especially RoboCop, like
Yeah.
what's the point of remaking that?
I didn't even bother with that RoboCop. I'm like the original first two RoboCop movies are just there's nothing that they didn't do that I felt like I wanted. So and I'm not anti remake at all. I've said it many times, but you gotta take it in an interesting direction. You can't just be like, well, here's the same movie, only worse. Like nobody wants that. Fucking stupid.
But that would be a good discussion topic would be best remakes. I mean,
Hell
it's an
yeah.
obvious thing, but it is something like I think about.
Me too, all the time. I've always uh t- more than I would say that I like remakes, I would say I find them the topic very interesting. So I'm always thinking about them and talking about them for some reason. It's something I find really interesting in movies.
Yeah, like, well, I don't know if I mentioned this with Sorcerer, but William Friedkin said it was more a readaptation of the novel.
Yeah, you did.
But to me, if you are a fan of the original movie and you're doing another version of the novel, it's still basically a remake because there's no
Yeah,
way that to me only applies if you haven't seen the original movie and then you
yeah,
adapt a novel. There's no way not to be influenced by the movie if you've seen it.
yeah. I agree because it's in your head, and yeah, it'd be hard to differentiate that. I think a little bit. Yeah, it that would be a fun. Yeah, we should do that one of these days.
Yeah, so I think Scott is going to be back next week, hopefully. So I had a Ted Nugent uh, movie that I
There's a
was.
Ted Nugent movie.
Yeah, this is a movie I wanted to talk about. Um, so I was thinking in terms of like structuring the show. I think I wanted to do it more. I mentioned this before, but do it more like it's a topic, and then I recommend a movie based on that topic. So I
Cool.
was thinking of doing like making of documentaries, like documentaries about making a movie.
Yeah,
Like American Movie or Lost in La Mancha,
that'd be
or
cool.
even if it's on the Blu-ray, um,
Yeah, it still counts.
the making of Terminator or whatever.
Yeah. So
Uh,
any making of basically that is out there that you find that you like would qualify.
yeah. Um, but
Doesn't have to be like an
of
official film.
yeah, of a real movie,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
Cool.
guess.
Yeah.
But there's a movie. It has a few different names. It's called like Demon Lover or My Demon Lover
Hmm.
or Demon something. It has like 3 or 4 different names, but it's a Michigan horror movie from the late 70s,
Wow.
and it was largely shot at Ted Nugent's house.
Wow.
And there's a making of documentary, which is amazing, but that but never got released because they couldn't get all the rights together. And it's called Demon Lover Diary.
Cool.
And this is something I have a really shitty bootleg of it that I got many years ago. It's something like you would hear about in these like bootleg trading circles,
Oh yeah.
in the aughts. And then I managed to get I met a guy that had it and managed to get a copy of it.
Wow.
And it's actually on YouTube, but the the version on YouTube is actually better quality than the one I have.
Oh, I bet.
Um, but it's basically it just does not go well. That they're making this because basically they're making this horror movie to make a bunch of money and launch their careers and uh, and shooting at Ted Nugent's house and things go poorly.
I can't imagine it would go well, but that'd be cool since they were in Michigan. That would have been cool if they could have teamed up with like those Michigan guys like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and stuff. But then they would have to say that yeah, we did a movie with Ted Nugent one time.
Yeah, but that predates because they were
It
shooting it
does
like
70s.
mid 70s or something or
Yeah, Sam Raimi was
76,
probably in
77.
Sam Raimi was probably in college at the time
Yeah, or high school.
or high school. Yeah.
Um, because Sam Raimi, he was pretty young when he
Oh yeah, you're right, wasn't
started
he?
Evil Dead. Like, wasn't he early 20s?
I think he was. Yeah, him and his brother. Oh, did you hear? Did you hear that? I don't remember what it's called. Did you hear Sam Raimi's going to direct a horror movie again for the first time in like what 15, 20 years?
No, I didn't. I did not hear that.
Yeah, I
Dra-
can't remember what it's called. It has, I think, it has a title already.
Drag Me to Hell was the last one, right?
I believe. Yeah, and I liked that one. I thought that was a great, not maybe not great, but a very good movie. I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I don't think I
Yeah.
liked it maybe as much as you did, but yeah, I'm trying to think of like the last. I saw Spider-Man 1 and 2 and
Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Drag Me to Hell. I don't think I've seen anything else since then.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much. Well, he did that like Wizard of Oz movie, I guess, that I never had any interest in.
Yeah, but yeah, the Naked Gun, they're trying to be outrageous with it. I'll say that much,
Okay.
and ridiculous and over the top. But boy, it something was off.
Yeah. I feel like that. How could anyone but Leslie Nielsen? I feel like the Naked Gun movies are basically built around Leslie Nielsen's personality and style. And I don't think he wrote the movie or anything, but still, like his character. I don't know. I feel like that's an iconic character, a really hard one to replicate.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a very specific tone.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything else or anyone else, it's not gonna have the same feel. It could still be good, but it's just not gonna feel anywhere near the same.
yeah. Have you ever watched the TV series
No, never
Police
did.
Squad?
Mm-mm. Heard it was
Yeah,
good.
it's so great.
Okay.
It ran for like 5 or 6 episodes or something, like, nobody watched it.
Okay.
Um,
Sad.
it it's like, to me, more Marx Brothers
Oh, old
and,
school.
um, even surreal at times, even more
Wow.
so than the movies. The movies feel feel like movies with, sort of, an emotional core of sorts,
Yeah.
whereas the TV show, they don't even try.
Wow. That sounds cool.
Um,
Do you know if there's a physical version of it or
it's on DVD, at least. I have the DVD.
cool? I'll have to look for it. Though we have a pretty cool like cinema store near me that gets all kinds of used stuff in all the time, and they just have tons of shit. So old, stuff from all different eras. It's pretty awesome. They might have it.
Yeah, it's just totally a little different, more, uh, sort of like the more of a Marx Brothers influence than the gags, just like gags just coming
Yeah.
like that, and not as much, even less dramatically based, if you can imagine.
So it sounds almost like it sounds very cartoony, like even more so.
Yeah, like a little, yeah, a little more cartoony than even the movies are.
Yeah. Which I would have been fine with more of the same, but since you're telling me it's not, that actually makes me more interested because I'll be, I'd be getting something fresh and new. So that sounds cool to me.
Yeah, but you can see how people would have been turned off by it,
Oh, I bet.
um, like normal audiences,
Yeah.
because
It, it,
it's very different from, like, especially from a sitcom. It's very
yeah.
different, the comedy.
Yeah. No, I could totally see something like that bombing no matter when it came out. But that's cool. That's when you think about it, that's really cool that they went out on a limb and took a risk like that.
With the movie?
No, with the show that you're talking about, they could have just played it more safe.
Who you mean, the Zuckerberg?
Or
Who's the
the
they?
police or the yeah, the directors. Was it the same director? The same director as the
Well,
show?
yeah,
I mean
the
the movie?
same. I don't. Yeah, it's like it's a Zucker Brothers, right?
Yeah. So that's good. At least you don't have to have the same
Well,
director.
yeah, they didn't do it exactly like the show. Wisely, they did it more like a movie where it's sort of a a parody of a cop movie,
Yeah.
but with sort of, like, there's that love relationship, sort of carrying it through in the music in the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah.
So there's like kind of a core to it where Police Squad, the show, is just rapid fire.
Yeah.
We don't give a shit about human beings or anything.
Yeah, that's what I think sounds cool about it.
Um, and then have you ever seen Sledgehammer? I'm a huge fan of Sledgehammer, which is a similar thing.
No. I like the Peter Gabriel song though.
Well, that has nothing
I know.
nothing to do.
I don't think so.
Um, Sled, Sledgehammer. It's a parody of Dirty Harry,
Okay,
and
I've heard of that. Yeah.
it was a similar thing where the first season it was the lowest rated sitcom that year,
Ooh. Ouch.
and then so the producer writer, he knew they were going to get canceled. So this is spoilers, but it doesn't really matter because it's such a cartoony thing. But so for the last episode, he had Sledgehammer, he's a parody of Dirty Harry. He has him accidentally blow up the world.
That's so
Because
awesome.
he figured there's zero chance we're coming back because we had literally the worst ratings in all of television.
What do they call that? They read the writing on the wall.
Yeah, but then they did get renewed,
Oh shit.
and then so they just have a blurb at the beginning on the first episode of the second season that says all this takes place before season 1 or something. So they just did like the earlier years, and that's how they
They
got
jumped
around it.
around in the time. That's awesome. Oh yeah, I
But I
gotta
mean,
see that now.
Sledgehammer, and the good thing about because when I watched the show as a kid, it would have the canned laugh track,
Yeah. I love
but
laugh tracks.
they removed it um, on the DVD, thankfully.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's not. The show's not a sitcom,
Yeah.
so
So it's awkward to have a laugh track on it. Yeah.
yeah, I just think it works a lot better without. Well, I don't really like laugh tracks in general, but especially for something like this.
I think I do just because like I don't think they add anything. I think it's just a pure nostalgia for me, and then nothing more than that. It's like comforting to me.
Yeah, and then yeah, so what was I thinking? Oh yeah, they do on Sledgehammer. They would do movie parodies. So they did an episode that was a parody of RoboCop. So Sledgehammer gets turned into a RoboCop,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
they have a parody of Assault on Precinct 13.
Damn, just killing people left and right.
Not exactly,
Oh,
but
okay. So I imagined like a long drawn out, like 100 people getting shot.
and like the gang that attacks the police station is hilarious. It's the most ridiculous, over the top 80s punk gang you could ever imagine. But basically the gag is Sledgehammer. He's like Dirty Harry, where he thinks that extreme violence can solve any situation to a ridiculous degree.
Which is another very American thing. Well,
Like for example, there's a guy that's about to unalive himself by jumping off a building,
I
and
think I've
there's a
seen this.
standoff. There's a standoff where the cops are telling him to get back inside, and then Sledgehammer shows up, rolls up. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." And he pulls out his 40-57 Magnum and starts shooting at the
Yeah, I
guy.
was gonna say I bet he kills him.
No, he starts shooting at the guy, but intentionally missing him.
Oh, okay.
So the guy has to jump back into the building to avoid getting shot.
Avoid getting shot. Yeah, I didn't
And
want to
then
get shot. That's not what I came out here for.
yeah, so that's how he gets him away from the ledge by shooting at him. And then he's like another life saved, and then he drives off into the sunset.
I mean, he's not wrong in this case. I guess he did save a life.
Yeah, there's tons of great because he's like but it's basically mocking like a conservative hero because he's very sexist and stuff.
That sounds awesome. I'm all,
Um,
yeah, I got to get on the ball in this one too.
So it's really a show like mocking conservative heroes
Yeah,
because he has a
and also like American cops, the style of American policing, and
yeah, because he has a female partner, and then
oh
there's like
god,
so there's one exchange where she's like uh something like oh, come on, Hammer, you think women should be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen? And he goes, come on, I don't mind if little honey throws on a pair of shoes or something like that.
I gotta see that. Oh, yeah,
And then also he's kind of, as a detective, he's kind of an idiot.
He's good at shooting people, not so much at the nuance of being a cop.
Yeah, but he thinks he's brilliant. So in some ways, it is comparable to Naked Gun.
Yeah,
So if you like Naked Gun the movies, and Sledgehammer is a good show to check out. Although I think the first season is definitely better than the second season.
cool. Yeah, I'm on it.
Um, yeah, there's so much funny stuff.
Speaking of not to go off on a tangent, but since we brought up these funny cop things, have you ever heard the band X Cops?
Yeah, I don't think I know of them. I don't think I ever heard their album, but it's the Guar.
I was playing it all day today, and it's so fucking good. Yeah, it's like most of the Guar dudes playing like crossover thrash metal. Like I think the album came out in like '88, and all the songs are just about like police, just shitting on police and like police brutality, and like it's some of it goes way too far, as you would imagine. Nowadays, it probably would be seen as distasteful, but it's fucking awesome. Just songs. There's like one of the songs about a guy who's like a very right wing leaning police officer who's also a closet gay man. Just like, so I would say that has aged very well actually, but and the album kicks ass too. Yeah, see, James likes it. James backs me on that one.
Yeah, I know of it, but I've never listened to it.
And especially like I've always liked that album, or well, not I probably heard it 10 years ago, but like I feel like it's even more relevant. Like you listen to it now and you're just like, this is so good. It just suits, it fits American culture currently and gives you a little bit of a reprieve, I guess.
Yeah, because there was that '70s punk San Francisco punk band called Cops,
Oh, really?
or
I haven't heard
what
of
was that? But that was just like,
the Cops. That'd be great.
oh, what was the?
So there's a great lyric in one of the ex cop song. It's about doing cavity searches. Like, the line goes like something like, "You'll never know what I might find until I have
Oh
my
no,
fist in your behind."
I'm mixing up two different bands. There's the band called the Cops, and then there was a San Francisco band that had a little bit of a cop gimmick. So
Really?
there's been a few other bands. Oh, Crime. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, Crime.
They were a
And
punk band.
yeah, and then there's another band
I'll
that
check
has
that out.
another like cop gimmick.
Yeah, honestly surprised it hasn't done more often, but it's a pretty good gimmick, I think.
Hmm. Um, well, another movie that I finally uh, watched a couple weeks ago, rewatched, was The Keep.
Oh yeah, keep.
After we had talked about it, I was sort of interested because I had only watched it on VHS, which is the crop version, so it crops out like 45% of the picture.
Oh, I heard about that. And
But
wasn't that the only official version until recently too?
it was on Laserdisc.
Oh, okay. So a pretty big gap in a time of pressings.
Yeah, and but it was on the Criterion channel, the newly restored version.
Ooh, cool.
So I'm not buying the Vinegar Syndrome 4K, but
Yeah, I might just because I don't have a I have a like what must be a bootleg because I have a DVD copy, but from what I've from what I've always heard over the years, there never really was an official DVD copy. So yeah, it's got to be a boot that I have. But
Hmm.
I'd be interested in the Vinegar Syndrome release just for an upgrade.
Yeah, I am. I don't know. I'm sort of two minds with the movie.
Yeah,
It's kind of. I think when I originally watched it, I kind of made up in my head what it was about.
I did the same thing. Yeah,
Where because it's sort of the thing where if the movie's not putting the pieces together, you put them together yourself.
yep,
So I originally thought the movie was like so there's it's basically a golem monster, which is a Jewish folk monster, sort of like
yeah,
their version of the Mummy or something.
yeah, yeah. That's pretty accurate.
And there's a few movies with that character. So I thought it was like Nazis were stealing the crosses from this Jewish keep, and then the golem comes out to punish them, and then they have to stick the golem back in, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But that's not really what happens in the movie.
yeah, not quite. Yeah, it's it. To be fair though, it's a kind of a hard movie to follow. It doesn't to me make a whole lot of sense, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it was clear to me what was happening, but it wasn't exactly clear like the motivation of why people are doing certain things or what the connection is.
Yeah, I agree. It's a
Because
little sloppy.
it seemed like, well, first of all, Gandalf, what's his face?
Oh yeah, Ian. Or no, not Ian.
Mc,
Or yeah,
McClellan,
Ian McKellen.
Or is McKellen, right?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, he's. I love
Um,
that guy. He's so good.
yeah, but in this movie, he's fucking horrible in this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. He's not the good guy in this movie. It was just cool to see him at a young age because I had not really seen a lot of stuff with him of when he's younger.
Yeah, I mean, acting wise.
Oh, acting wise, okay, yeah. It's got an interesting cast though. I did kind of like the cast. It's got what Gabriel Byrne, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and he's really good.
yeah. The Gabriel Byrne is fine, and then what's his name from Das Boot and House of the Dead?
Was he the kind of buff guy?
No, he was the good Nazi.
Oh, the good. Yeah. Okay.
Jurgen Prochnow is his name from
Okay.
from Uwe Boll's masterpiece House of the Dead, which I saw twice in the theater.
Damn, I didn't see it in the theater, but that would be a fun theater movie for
Well,
sure.
like played for a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Which is probably all of his movies in the
yeah.
U.S.
Um, yeah, I guess it's like really the movie. So having not read the book, the movie, it's sort of a story more about Ian McKellen's character where he's sick and then he um in a concentration camp and dying, and then he's helping the Nazis figure out what the deal is with this monster in the keep. But then the monster heals him and makes him young again in exchange for helping him get out of the keep. But then what's his face? Glenn. He's like an angel that shows up to shoot him back into the keep to
Yeah.
prevent the. So it's almost to me. This is my takeaway. It's almost like a Fountain of Youth movie more than anything.
Yeah. That's kind of what I get out of it too. Like it was funny when I first watched it. I was like, I remember thinking like, oh, weird. I thought Ian McKellen would be younger because I didn't realize that he had like old age makeup on and stuff at the beginning.
Hmm.
I was like, wow, that's really bizarre. And then I see, and then, okay, he is like probably 30 years old or something in that movie.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that was kind of, and I really don't think that it was intended to end up that way.
I don't think so. It wasn't a pretty troubled production too, and
Let me just, yeah. So it's sort of just like the Fountain of Youth thing. Like you're playing with this magic power to cure yourself and make yourself young, but it's it's potentially can backfire,
Yeah.
and it's just sort of like a fable of don't mess with these evil powers
Yeah.
kind of thing.
It's too good to be true.
But in
you know,
in the movie, the Nazis are just overly incidental
they are.
because the movie could be just like teenagers enter the keep, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, cool, we're gonna sell these crosses in the next town,"
Yeah.
and then the guy comes out. Like it would the movie would almost be similar. You could do like an Italian horror version of it.
Yeah, and it would have suited that style because of the visuals and stuff. It would have been more suiting, and with the soundtrack, the Tangerine Dream and stuff.
Yeah, like a Faustian bargain thing.
Yeah, I
Bargain thing.
agree. Yeah, take. I see where they're going, I guess. But yeah, I would have probably taken out all the Nazi stuff and replaced it with.
Well, you couldn't do that as an adaptation of the book, I don't think.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know the book very well.
But because that
Or you
people
could
were
leave the Nazis in there, but yeah, incorporate like you said, the teenagers.
or just yeah. Well, I think maybe in the book, maybe it makes. I assume it makes a lot more sense in the book,
I bet it does. I bet it does. Yeah.
but it doesn't feel like the. I don't know. There just needed to be more ties to the Nazis, why they're doing it,
Yeah.
or what that has to do with anything other than because they're Nazis, they're evil.
Yeah.
But like the I don't know. It
It's
didn't
kind of
really.
jarring. Kind of jarring when you watch it. It's like it. You feel like something's wrong the whole time. Like something's pieces aren't connecting.
Yeah, but I will say like the score was really great, the
Yeah,
Tangerine Dream score,
it's great.
and then the cinematography was really great.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah. It's almost an art film. It's got that almost an art film vibe. And yeah, the Tangerine Dream score. It's honestly that's some of my favorite stuff that they've done. It's such a cool sound.
Yeah, and it has that 80s British slick commercial look of the early 80s. Like the early, when Tony Scott was doing commercials in Britain and before he got pegged to direct movies in the early 80s, that kind of thing. So it was
Oh yeah,
one of these British cinematographers, just a lot of like filters and fluorescent lighting and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So
And
and
I'm a sucker for that stuff too.
yeah, because it almost there's other movies like even 9.5 Weeks. Adrian Lyne came out of that sort of school. Tony Scott. It has that sort of vibe to it with the cinematography.
Yeah. And it's also weird that it's a Michael Mann movie. I always felt like it always that was like very early for him, but it always didn't really fit, in the Michael Mann catalog.
Yeah, it feels more like an Adrian Lyne or Tony Scott or one of those like British um 80s directors
And
that
I
did
think if I
that,
remember
that did.
correctly, Michael Mann doesn't really like it either.
No, he hates it. That's
Hates
that's
it.
I think one of the reasons it never got re-released.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Um and just to clarify something, the apparently his version was 2 hours and then he was forced to cut it down to 90 minutes
Oh, that's right.
because people keep saying like he wanted it to be 3.5 hours or something.
I read that something. Yeah, I read it was supposed to be much longer. Did they? I want to say they used a lot of, or they cut out a lot of his stuff too. I think it was they. I think they might have chopped it up, and that might be part of what he hates about it. I think they did, or I might be mistaking it.
um yeah, so he wanted it to be 2 hours and then they made him cut it down to 90 minutes.
Okay.
So that they apparently he was still on. They didn't fire him and then take the movie from him,
Yeah.
but he sort of reluctantly agreed to do that.
Almost like a David Fincher Alien 3 type situation. Maybe not that bad, but
Well, no, David Fincher left the movie.
oh, that's right. He did leave, didn't he? He didn't complete it.
Yeah. So that would be a different case. This is a case where he was still on the movie, but he didn't have final cut, and he reluctantly cut it down.
Yeah.
But it wasn't from the sources I've read. It wasn't supposed to be 3 hours or 3.5 hours or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
He wanted it to be roughly 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
So people said, I've heard that like it was supposed to be 4 hours and they cut it to
Jesus.
90 minutes.
Exaggeration a little bit.
But apparently there was the I couldn't find a direct source, but there's like a making of site that says that there was an interview where the DP says that the assembly cut was 3.5 hours or something.
Jeez. Where did they get this information? I wonder where that rumor started. If Michael Mann himself had never said it.
The website thinks that from that interview, people got confused as to what that meant.
Oh, okay.
So all that means is they had 3.5 hours worth of footage, and then they started editing, and then edited it down to roughly 2 hours,
Yeah.
and then the executives made Michael Mann cut it down. It wasn't that it was 3.5 hours worth of footage, basically.
Yeah.
That's what an assembly cut is.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that all that 3.5 hours was supposed to be used.
No, it's just that's where they was the starting point of where they
Yeah.
started editing.
Yeah. And
So
I
it's
don't
like,
know if that's common or to have maybe double, or I don't know how
yeah,
that is
yeah,
it. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So that's common.
But that's an area where a lot of directors really lose their shit. And I get it. Those are heartbreaking stories to hear. You hear it so much with directors that are like so unhappy with the way that their movie was edited, and I, being someone that will never direct a movie, I still find that so. It just, to me, it always sounds so frustrating, and I hate hearing that story. I can't imagine working on something so hard and then it just being not what you intended at all, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess David Lynch's Dune is a good example.
That's one of the best examples. Yeah, I
And
would
he
say.
said after his experience on that he would not sign on to do a movie unless he had final cut.
Yeah. And I think he said he didn't want to he didn't want to direct anyone else's movies anymore either. He didn't want to be a director for hire.
Yeah, well, that's basically what that means. If he has final cut, then he can do whatever he wants.
True.
And usually, what that comes with is if they give you final cut, it has to be under a certain runtime, and then has to have a certain rating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At least in the U.S. So if anybody, they usually don't. Um, Usually those are the two parameters.
Okay.
So if you said you got the Brazil
Yeah.
Blu-ray, there's a lot of great extras on there, so I highly recommend.
Cool.
Because that's is a perfect case of where uh, Terry Gilliam was squabbling with the producer, and they were making him cut it down. And there's different versions of the movie,
Oh, I see.
but there's a the cut for TV version, um, which is really terrible, that they did with without his approval.
Oh.
And I think that's the first way I watched the movie.
And did you like it?
I did, but I didn't really
Yeah.
understand. I like it visually. I didn't think I really understood what was going on. But I saw it like really young,
And if you didn't know, there were yeah, other versions.
and then I saw the regular version later. But that's a good example where I think Terry Gilliam had final cut if he kept the movie under 2 hours. and then he said it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes, and he said he couldn't cut it any shorter, and then there was kind of a war between him and the producer.
Yeah, well, they're like that wasn't the agreement. I'm sure, you know.
Um, so, but that stuff is all covered in on the Criterion Blu-ray, and it's really interesting. Terry Gilliam is just a super funny and interesting guy.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't know much about him. That's why I asked. I mean, I know I haven't seen a ton of his movies. That's why I asked you the other day if you were a fan, because I'm like, oh, I need to delve more into this guy now.
Yeah, because my mom is a Monty Python fan, and
I
then
am too.
as a kid, I just kind of grew up with Terry Gilliam movies.
Yeah, makes sense.
So even like my brother and my sister, like we all would watch Time Bandits and Jabberwocky and Brazil.
Love Time Bandits. I
Um,
grew up with Time Bandits too.
um, but like that, oddly, so in terms of like thinking of like art films or that kind of thing, that would have been like some of my introduction. Well, I didn't really think of it that way, but
That makes sense.
um, yeah, what were all of the? Oh yeah,
And I love his. I love 12 Monkeys. You know his American big budget movie. You know I love it.
yeah, because I saw Barry Munchausen in the theater when it came out, so I think I was 8, and I love that movie, and then
Yeah,
I
it's a
would
great.
watch it on TV when it finally came out on TV.
Cool.
So that was like, well, especially Time Bandits Brazil and Baron Munchausen were films I watched over and over again as a kid.
Yeah, I watch Time Bandits a lot. That's on my list of rewatches because it's been at this point it's been so long. But growing up, I loved it, and a huge Monty Python fan growing up too.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, Fear and Loathing. I became a huge Fear and Loathing fan, but the first and Hunter S. Thompson fan. But initially did not really get the movie. You know what the tone was. I just thought it was like, "Hey, aren't we on drugs? Isn't this crazy?"
Yeah,
So the first time I saw it, I was kind of annoyed by it, and then
that makes sense. I think I was the same way.
I became a huge fan of the book and Hunter S. Thompson. You know, a few years later. Um, that's one of those like pivot movies where I really changed my opinion. But usually because I was kind of still kind of young when I saw it. You know,
Yeah,
young and stupid.
yeah. Because I saw that came out was that late '90s too. I think
No, I think 95.
'95. Yeah. So I was only 13. You were probably like 17. Still maybe a little naive to
I
understand something like that.
I was 15 young.
Oh, 15. Okay.
You don't call me an old man.
What were you like 40 back then, or
Yeah.
how are you even still alive, Tom? You're 85, 90. You look good for a 95 year
I
old
could
man.
go at any time. If we if we stream past my bedtime, you know, it could be the end.
You just keel over. Tom
Yeah,
went the way he wanted to.
if we get past 9 p.m.,
So
we
you're
could
like
be in
a
trouble.
Tom's like he's kind of a mogwai. He has all these rules, or else he things will not go well for him.
If I don't go to sleep at not by 9 p.m., I explode. That's
Yeah,
the rule.
dinner no later than 4:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Prune juice is 7.
Yeah, I just spontaneously if I don't get daily prune juice, I spontaneously combust.
Yeah, that's whatever cup you're holding. It's always like Metamucil or prune juice.
Yeah. Um, so I don't we got on some tangents.
Tangents.
So next week, um, what we'll do is we'll do a discussion of making of documentaries. And
Cool.
then the one I will recommend is Demon Lover Diary, and which you're not going to find unless it's on it's on YouTube, and that's the only way you'll ever be able to watch it.
Well, glad it's on YouTube at least. It'll be lost if it ever gets taken down.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure somebody people are out there with bootleg copies, of course. That those will always live on.
Yeah, but I don't even think people know about this movie.
So maybe there's no one out there with a bootleg.
Well, I have a bootleg,
Oh yeah,
but
you have it,
it's a really bad quality.
but it exists. So you have to treasure that.
But there, yeah, no Vinegar Syndrome Special Edition
Not yet.
forthcoming.
Not yet.
Okay, so we do Simon of the Desert.
Simon of the Desert.
This is Simon, and he's in the desert.
Yeah.
That's it. This is the entire movie.
It's an art film. He just stands there for 45 minutes.
um, so did you know anything about the director Louis Buñuel?
No, you not until you told me about him last week.
He's a very singular director. Um, he started off in Spain. One of his most famous movies is a short film called Un Chien Andalou, and this is 1928, I think.
Wow.
And this is him and Salvador Dali.
Whoa. Really?
So he was basically like a surrealist director, friends with Dali, and they made this crazy short film. And he's Buñuel is really funny in interviews because he's very unpretentious, but he also like very much a jokester.
Cool. I could
So
see
he,
that. I could I could see that.
yeah, so he would
If he didn't have a sense of humor, I would have been shocked.
but it's hard. He seems to exaggerate in a lot of his interviews. But because he claimed in Un Chien Andalou, he just wanted a series of images that there was nothing stringing them together. So it was like an attempt at a true surrealist film.
Yeah.
But I think there is more of a structure to it than that. But that's what his like he was attempting to do was make something that made no sense, which is just a bunch of images.
Which which is the kind of thing that I yeah, I would appreciate more now than I would have like 10 years ago.
Well, and then he had a this 1930. He had a movie released in Spain called L'Age d'Or, the Golden Age. Although no one calls it the Golden Age, but it's L'Age d'Or. Um, and it's just this super crazy movie. And that makes fun of religion, and like the ending implies basically it's like a section from 120 Days of Sodom.
Oh boy.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I've seen many clips and stuff.
But like the novel, and then it's like a news report that this 120 day like this Days of Sodom is going on in this castle or something, and then Jesus walks out.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So
Oh
then this was like, I mean, but there's just stuff in the movie that was just, this is, I mean, keep in mind that you could go to jail for
yeah.
making fun of religion in Spain.
I was gonna say now I'm starting to see why he was exiled from the country.
Yeah. And then when he attended the premiere, he stood up in the back of the theater and he had rocks in his pockets. So if someone attacked him, he would defend himself with rocks.
So the best defense he could think of, or
Yeah, I guess so.
just throw rocks at people.
And then they like tore the and burned down the theater
Whoa.
the one time it screened, and then he was like exiled from Spain, and the movie was banned for like 70 years.
Damn. They're like, dude, get the fuck out of Spain. You're too
Yeah.
much for us. What a troublemaker. I love it. That's so fucking. See, that's those are the kinds of directors I like too. The ones that like aren't even afraid of going to jail. You know what I mean? Like it takes a special kind of person to stand behind what they're doing to the point where they just don't care.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then his career, he went to Mexico and then he made 20 movies, and this is the last movie he made in Mexico.
Yeah, I read that too. So he did a what's his name? The um no, I'll get back to it. I couldn't remember.
And then he went to France for the last part of his career. And that's honestly my favorite um some of my favorite movies he did
Oh wow.
were in that period. And he's a rare director that he had a career that was basically 50 years. But I think he, generally speaking, got better as he went along
That's awesome.
to where when he was an old man, he was doing his best stuff.
Yeah. Like never strayed from his vision.
Are we? Oh my God.
Hour 7. Woo.
I want to see some of it. I'll have to stream it illegally at some point.
Yeah.
So Eli, you were saying something about something?
um yeah, but I couldn't remember what it was.
James says Polanski, but I have no idea what you were comparing Buñuel to somebody or
Oh,
that
what
you.
was the director that went that also well, he didn't get exiled, but he went to Mexico for a long time just because he was happier there. Like things were more lax. The guy that did the Bring Me the Head of
Oh, Peckinpah.
Alfredo. Yeah. Different, obviously a completely different story, but he went to Mexico for many years.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another guy that warred with producers and stuff, and he was
Yes.
very fed up with Hollywood. And there's a lot of and Alfredo Garcia, there's a lot of him in that movie from what I've heard. I have his one of his biographies, but I have not read it yet, and I really need to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That guy just seems so cool.
Yeah, and he was just a wild man, doing
Mhm.
coke on set and stuff.
Yeah, I heard. Did you ever hear the story about how he was? I think it was not Fredo Garcia. I think it was the Wild Bunch where he was. They were talking about. This is a really cool fact, actually. That gunshots in movies, like the sound of the gunshots before that movie, literally all sounded the same. And I guess he was the one that was like, this is fucking bullshit. And I guess he pulled out a gun like while they're having a meeting or whatever and shot a wall. And he's like, that's what a fucking gun needs to sound like. And I guess after that, they started using, I'm pretty sure I read this on Wikipedia, but that's literally after that movie, they started making gunshots in movies sound better and more realistic and stuff.
Yeah, I heard that he pulled out a gun in a meeting, but I didn't realize why it was or the
Yeah, I
thing.
guess he fired it a round into a wall. I don't know if it was completely no one knew he was going to do it because that would be terrifying. Can you imagine that? Like, what the fuck, dude? That'd be
Yeah, and they they let Scott out of jail to watch AEW.
yeah, but he's got to go back. It's like work release.
Yeah,
He has to
he
drive back
he
afterwards.
he yeah, because Scott claims that his job is he's quality control for AEW pay-per-views.
Yeah, kind of important, so they had to let him do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so to me, generally speaking, Buñuel is like a comedic satire director, I guess you could say, but like a very specific tone that's specific to him. So it's sort of the thing. If you watch multiple movies of his, you sort of get the idea of the tone he's going for, which is he generally likes to make fun of rich people, make fun of religion,
I'm all for
um,
that.
and he does it very slyly
Hmm.
and mischievously.
Yeah, they're not like you're not gonna get like fart jokes or whatever. It's yeah, it's much more deep than that. Well,
and then
from this
there's
movie.
usually surreal elements at various times in his movies, and but he generally does like the you have to sort of pay attention um, to get the humor. It's
Yeah,
pretty sly.
yeah, exactly.
And I think my favorite movie of his is still Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, which I think won the Oscar,
Wow.
and that was I can I mean look it up.
And
Like
from what
one
I
but
read, this was this Simon is and you would know, but uh this up until this point, I guess his movies were super surrealist, and I guess this one is one where he started to drop a lot of that, although it is still there. Would you agree with that?
no,
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 this is pretty surrealist to me, but I'm not as experienced as you are.
no, I would say generally like the those 2 movies he did in Spain, I would say are more surrealist. And then after that, when he got to Mexico, he would do it only certain elements or certain scenes were surrealist. Generally speaking,
Yeah,
but I would say like those first 2 movies I had mentioned, are more surrealist movies, and then later on, it's just certain bits and parts.
yeah. I think that's kind of what I meant. How far is this movie? How far is this into his career? I can't remember.
That so this is like his um 23rd movie.
Okay, damn. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work my way back and forward because I want to see the stuff that you're talking about, his later stuff, but I also want to see his older stuff. So,
But he has so many movies where the central kind of plot is something that you've never seen in another movie,
wow.
which is just one of the things about him that I love.
Yeah.
So there's like a I mean, let me bring it up as an example. There's a movie he did in Mexico called it has a bunch of different names, but the name I have it under is called The Criminal Life of Archibaldo de la Cruz. And the plot is like this um I have not seen it in forever, so let me make sure I get this right. I'm bringing it up. Um okay. Like he has these fantasies about murdering people, and then people around him uh die, but not because of him. They just die accidentally, but he thinks that he's causing their deaths. So it's like
That's funny.
and then he's like getting off on it. So it's like a movie about a serial killer
Who's
that's
never actually killed
getting off on these
anybody.
murder, but he doesn't actually kill anybody. But he thinks he does.
That's awesome.
But that's a movie I've not seen in forever. I do have a VHS of it. So I that was when I was thinking about it, needing to rewatch. But like stuff like that, these plots that no one else would have come up with. And one of his famous movies. So I will say my introduction was um, my mom actually used to live in Spain and then in New York. And I think maybe this was in Spain, but she told me about a movie of his called The Exterminating Angel. And like she said, like I went to this saw this movie in the theater, this crazy movie, and was telling me the plot. And I was able to find a copy for her on VHS to rewatch it, and then I watched it myself, and that's where I started. So it was through my mom. And
I
then
like the name.
Exterminating Angel is it's like a bunch of rich people um at a dinner party, and it turns into like Lord of the Flies because um they can't leave the party but there's no reason why they can't leave. They just think that there's a force field, and then so and the joke is like that's all it takes. Like the, they have it in their mind that they can't leave through the door. So then immediately society devolves like within hours, and that's the joke.
Are they
And that's
turning
one
on
of
each other and stuff? I bet.
yeah, and like it turns into like Lord of the Flies, like literally within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Um and that's one of his more famous movies. And I mentioned Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. James had mentioned, oh, he said that's his favorite as well. And I think he won the best foreign film Oscar for that movie. Let me turn
Wow.
off my.
That's pretty
Um,
impressive.
so that's probably his most famous movie, at least in America. But that one is like the inverse of Exterminating Angel, where you have this rich people, they go out to dinner, and but there's a for some reason the restaurant is a combination restaurant funeral parlor. So they see
Weird.
they're like there's a dead body in the next room, and they're like, oh, we can't eat here.
No. It's
We have to go somewhere else, right? And then the entire movie is just a series of them trying to go to dinner, but then it just gets they get misdirected or sidetracked or something happens. Like there's a scene where they're about to have the dinner, but then soldiers show up, and they're like, we have to commandeer the house because there's a
Jeez.
war going on or something. And that's literally for 2 hours. That's all. It's just them trying to eat dinner, and then they keep getting interrupted, and it's actually really funny. I mean, I'm trying to do airplane mode on my phone here.
It kind of reminds me of the movie that we watched a couple weeks ago with the guy trying to watch the wrestling match. It almost reminds me of that, where it's like, just from what you're telling me, he can't get to the wrestling match no matter how hard he tries.
Yeah, WC Fields.
Yeah, sounds like almost a formula like that, where it's
Yeah, and that specifically, it's a framing to make fun of rich people. Like all they give a shit about is going to this fancy dinner, and there's like
yeah,
all this societal chaos or anything else. They don't care. That's all they care about,
I like it.
and they're very not self-aware about it.
Especially like I'm more attracted to ideas like that nowadays too, especially with again, like current society. Like I've developed such a hatred for for rich people, and now it's cool to see people that were already doing that kind of shit. Fuck, 100 years ago,
Hmm.
or really, if you want to be petty about it, you could say thousands of years. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, since the beginning of time, and since certain humans have found out a way to get rich, there's been smart criticism of it, and I'm more interested in that nowadays.
Yeah, so that's the main entry point from if someone is trying to get into Louis Buñuel is just think of them as satirical comedies.
Yeah,
So you have to get on the comedic wavelength of it.
yeah, you do.
Um, and I'll try to we won't go past 2 hours. I'll say we'll cap it so we have another 30 minutes.
Yeah,
So we'll go through so and another hilarious aspect of this movie to me is that it's actually based on a real character. I
I
don't know
read
if he
that.
was yeah, so it's a 4th century guy named Simon who did live on a column in the
Yeah,
desert,
yeah,
and apparently I read that he was up there for like 30 years.
yeah. That's what I saw too. He had to have came down, or maybe not. I don't know.
But
But yeah, that's
maybe it was sort of like a story, um, or it was exaggerated. If it's that long ago, you don't know how true it was. But
that's true.
th- to me, it's just hilarious that 'cause if you didn't know any better, you watched the beginning of the movie, you just thought it would be a Jesus-y movie about this guy, right? So it's sort of like, oh, it's sort of a Mexican equivalent to
The Jesus story.
to Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then slowly it gets to the point. Well, we'll get one thing in particular, like where it just totally goes left field. But in the movie version, he's been up there for 6 years. He's just on a platform, you know, barely eating anything, trying to get closer to God. And then like his mom is poor and suffering and sick. So I guess he doesn't he doesn't like not being with her, but he's got a higher purpose, you know.
Yes.
And that's a sick sick mullet.
It's almost like, yeah, like it's almost like he has, you see you see very little of his face with all the hair and the beard. It's like he just has a little.
Yes, you have people coming up to worship him.
Yeah.
And then this is so this poor family comes up, and the father in the family, his hands are missing.
Mm.
I look at these stumps that once were hands. How did this misfortune befall you? They were chopped off for attempting to thievery because he probably couldn't. He needed food for his family. And he stole a loaf of bread and got him chopped off. So he goes and prays to Simon. And look how I really love these shots
Yeah.
where he's way up high on the platform.
Yeah. It's a cool set piece, you know?
So they all pray. He's got hands.
Yep.
And then so the hilarious thing is that immediately he's like, "All right, let's go home. I have to." He doesn't thank Simon. He doesn't give a fuck about Simon.
No.
He just wants his hands.
It's got to
And
go.
then
He's got chores to do.
I don't think I didn't include it, but his daughter asked him, "Are those the same hands you had before, or are those new hands?" Which is, uh, a sensible question to ask, and he, like, slaps her upside the head, like, "Shut up." Like, he's just an asshole dad that needed
Yeah.
his hands back. He doesn't give a shit about religion
Nope.
at all.
He's just using it to get what he needed.
Yeah, and these are, like, the Simon's priests or whatever,
Something like that.
and I love that the spiritual shenanigans. I just love that phrase.
Yeah, me too.
And then there's the plot of the movie is pretty simple. So you have the setup of people come to worship Simon, and there's a witch that tempts him, basically. And there's also he has this uh, in several of his other movies where he has sort of a common person, like a more peasanty person, and then you can tell that this is the person he sympathizes with the most, Buñuel, the director. Like, this is like the cool guy I want to hang out with, and all these other guys are assholes, these
Yeah.
religious assholes, these rich assholes. And I think in this movie, it's the little person with the goat.
Yeah.
Um, and he said, like, so he makes milk for Simon and other people from his goat. And I love this line where he's explaining there's a batch of goat milk that's bad, and he says some whore breathed on it and curdled it.
That'll happen. Can't be letting whores breathe on your milk.
Yeah.
Gotta cover it up.
Yeah, and it's Satan appearing to him as a witch.
A temptress.
It's all tied together, you know.
Because isn't Satan wanting Simon to come down from the post?
Yeah. And this is what a pair of
beauties.
beauties.
I mean, I don't know goat nipples, but I mean that it looks about right to me.
And there's also a common thing of people have like these hidden perversions in Buñuel movies.
Oh.
So there's um, in Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, there's a priest that it's almost like slightly sexual thing where he wants to be a gardener. Um, and he's always talking about it like he's looking for a hoe and all this other stuff. And you get the idea like it's like this sexual repression for him or something.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things where people have these fetishes, you know, but they're usually hypocrites about it. But I think for this character, I don't remember the guy's name, but it just he's like this guy's authentic. You know, he's like he doesn't give a fuck. And
Mm.
then so that they bring him this bountiful food, and Simon says, "My body doesn't need those delicacies. It is sufficiently nourished with the lettuce God gives me."
Hmm. A lettuce of God.
Yeah, so he's very holy, this guy.
I mean, he stayed alive. Something's doing it.
And then the guy at the bottom, he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to diet too, but the less I eat, the fatter I get." So that's just a funny
It's not
exchange.
working for me.
He's not presenting it as like, "I want to be holy like you." He's like, "Yeah, I'm dieting too."
Yeah.
But it doesn't work.
Mm.
This is a great shot. So he imagines, so he basically daydreams that what he would do if he was off the platform, and it's like him just hanging out with his mom. So, and again, I think it's making fun of like this guy's so lame. Like his lone fantasy is him just hanging out with his mom.
And a middle-aged dude. That's all. It's like the current dude that lives in his mom's basement or whatever, playing video games. Mama's boy syndrome, I guess.
Yeah. So if you were just watching, thinking it was like a Jesus-y movie and didn't know any better, like up until this point, you would think, "Oh,
Yeah.
Simon is a very holy man,"
Yeah.
and then it takes a total U-turn where you have this witch comes up to tempt Simon, and she's in a schoolgirl outfit, even though this is supposed to take place in the fourth century.
Yeah. She has a modern outfit for some reason.
Um, she says, "Look at innocent legs I've got,"
Jesus.
and she's like, "It's like pedophilic and stuff." And she also whips at her tits. So I love that within like 20 minutes of this
You're getting
uh,
nudity.
portrait of this Jesus-y holy man, there's like this hot chick shows up in a schoolgirl outfit and whips her tits out.
Yeah, I did not expect. I didn't see this coming at all. I was like, "Whoa, whoa!"
That's great. Um, and that actress is really funny. She
She
was
is.
the wife of the producer, I think.
Yep, I read that. Yeah, she was in. It might have been the last thing that she did, but yeah, she was, I guess, in a number of his films.
Yeah. Um, and that's
Shaggy locks.
so so he's isn't fooled, Simon, and but this is the witch's real form. So reminds me a bit of like The Shining.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. The Shining. Maybe Kubrick saw this, and who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Um, and then also like one of the priests is possessed by the devil, but then Simon exorcises him so pretty easily. There's another good shot.
That's cool.
And now she shows up again. This is round two. Um, and she's trying to convince him to Uh,
with her beard.
yeah, earthly. He needs to get on the earthly pleasure train, and it's funny. It's like she she's like, okay, this costume isn't working. I'm just going to be honest. And like, I don't need this the goat anymore, so I'll just kick it to the curb
Literally.
till the very word pleasure fills you with nausea. So this is temptation, him resisting temptation. And this character is really funny, like all of her various lines and stuff. And then she hits him in the head with a rock.
Right off his head.
And I didn't get like there's a frog.
Got to be some biblical reference, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And then she just vaporizes and leaves. And I like that he says like who can I bless now? Besides being a spiritual exercise, blessings are good fun too.
He's such a dork.
Yeah, but he's like he's for the love of the game. He blesses people. It's just so much fun.
I mean, it's a hobby of his.
And he says, "Bless the goat's pregnancy. Let's see if this bitch drops what she's carrying." And then he turns to the goat at some point, like he's going on about
Talking shit about
blessing this, that, and the other, and then he's like, "I got a feeling he's not quite right in the head to the
yeah.
goat."
This guy's an idiot.
And then this priest, oh yeah, I guess raining frogs maybe, but there's only one frog.
Very a very mild showing of power, I guess. But hey, it's a showing nonetheless.
So he's trying to like teach him a lesson, I think. It's like he tries to steal his bag, and then Simon is like, "Well, if you need it, take it." It's like your unselfishness is admirable and very good for your soul. And then he kicks the ladder. Like so, I think he's. Did you? What was your takeaway from this? Like, I guess he's trying to teach Simon a lesson.
It's kind of what I thought. Like he was trying to, yeah, another moral of the story thing for Simon.
Like it's, he's trying to say like his holiness is really for himself.
Like he's actually just being selfish.
Yeah, like he's being selfish.
Which it didn't seem that way to me, but.
And then there's the awesome bit where this coffin shows up. So this is the temp 3, and it can't tell from the still photograph, but it scoots along the ground. And this reminds me a bit of there's a movie, I think it's 1967. It's called V, Spirit of Evil.
Ooh.
And there's a little bit of a comparison to this movie, but it's basically a witch haunts a monastery in Russia, and there's a young priest or whatever he is that's basically tasked with exorcising the monastery. But in that case, it's a reverse in that the priest is being proactive and trying to get rid of this witch.
Yeah. Was that in that Severin box set?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I have heard of that movie, but I haven't seen it yet.
But there's a similar thing where she lives in a coffin and flies around in this coffin, the witch.
That's cool.
So it's like similar to this.
That's a cool concept, actually, for a witch movie.
Yeah, it's like at one point, it's like she uses it like it's a surfboard.
or like I assumed she was inside of it, and it was like a spaceship.
No, she lives inside of it, and then it flies around.
Yeah.
But then at one point, she uses it like it's like a hoverboard.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Is it? I also would say that I don't know if this is just me. I this movie I kind of got like Jodorowsky vibes. Maybe it's because I'm just a huge Jodorowsky fan.
Yeah, I mean, there's some comparisons you can make
To like El Topo,
between
maybe.
them because I think Jodorowsky was probably a huge fan of Buñuel, I assume.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, not in Jodorowsky's style, but like more visually. I got Jodorowsky like visuals from this, like El Topo. Maybe I'm saying that because they're both in the desert and shot in similar climate, similar parts of the world. But I just kind of got Jodorowsky vibes.
yeah, there's yeah, definitely some comparisons, but I think because Jodorowsky was influenced by Buñuel, and then there's the um, especially like the Holy Mountain. There's like satirizing of religion,
Yes,
but
yes,
generally Buñuel is a lot more subtle
yeah,
with it.
yeah. They have definitely different, way different approaches. But I'm a huge Jodorowsky fan.
Yeah, you disgust me. I can smell your foul breath from here. And then she immediately just pops up behind you. You don't smell too good either.
I wouldn't imagine he does.
I'm taking you to the Sabbath. This is pretty metal. He's got a
Hell yeah,
mullet.
they're gonna go watch a Sabbath concert.
And then another incongruity.
Airplane.
So it's the fourth century, but she's like points to an airplane. And then keep in mind, so this movie is only 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Simon was laughing at. um, the movie's only 45 minutes long because they ran out of money. So it was supposed to be a feature length movie.
Yeah, I read that too.
So then he just came up with this ending to end the movie early.
He had to do something. It's interesting seeing the people discuss, because I'm so new to this movie, but it's so you're not, but it's interesting for me to see these people discuss this film and like how it like what if it was a 90-minute movie, what would it would have been a masterpiece, because people already say that it is, but yeah, just imagine if it had been a 90-minute movie. And then there's the argument that like it's perfect the way it is because it's 45 minutes.
Simon, you might have mental health problems if you laugh at everything. That means you're
Hey,
just cackling constantly, like the Joker.
he is British. They're always laughing, those Brits. And it's
um,
a condescending laughter too, that we know we're better than you.
well, they are, in fairness.
They are.
Um, yeah. So this is honestly one of my favorite like twist endings of all time.
Clever.
um,
It's clever and you don't see it coming. There's no way you could.
so you're in modern day all of a sudden, but the implication is clearly they flew to this New York club.
Come to the Sabbath, a rock and roll show.
And if you it's just a this dance club and there's a bunch of people dancing. The dancing is really funny if you pay attention to it
I wonder
because
what. Yeah, I don't understand.
these sunglasses is like this beatnik club, and then
Oh, he's got his beard trimmed and his hair trimmed, and he's
Simon has sold out. He said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna be a beatnik." That's the twist ending. This it would be like the Passion of the Christ. Well, that he didn't have a choice, but
no, but maybe he could have.
I don't know.
But that's what he sells out so quick too. It's like 1 minute. Oh, this is better. Yeah, this is way better. He's drinking a beer.
Yeah,
10 minutes ago, he was like, "No, I do everything for God."
this guy on the yeah, this guy on the left had the funniest dance, but I think the director probably just told everyone just do a crazy dance.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Well, not at first. At first, I was like, "Oh, this must be a culture I don't understand." But then I was like, "This has got to be a joke. I don't think it's real."
So that's how you know you've turned your back on metal. You cut your hair.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What's this dance called? Radioactive flesh. And they squabble, and then she dances with somebody else, and that's it.
Radioactive flesh. So he predicted thrash metal
Yeah,
and maybe death metal too, or heavy metal completely.
yeah. Isn't there like a Repulsion song called Radioactive Flesh? I
I can't remember. They have so many songs, even though it's one album.
I don't think so, but I bet there is a song out there called Radioactive
There
Flesh.
has to be, and if there isn't, there should be now because. So how much of Simon of the Desert do you think was? Do you think it was just the ending that they created to cap it off?
No,
No.
I'm not sure, but I doubt it.
Yeah. So what do you think about what I said about the discussion people have about this? Uh, what do you, if it had been say a 90-minute movie? What do you? I mean, I guess it's hard to say what that would have changed, but what do you think about what if it was?
Um, I don't know. I could try to do some research, but
Yeah,
I really don't know because the structure of the movie makes sense in terms of, she visits 3 times, a and then the 3rd time, he gives in because if you I don't think the rest of the movie would be like she visits 7 times.
yeah,
Like, I think
yeah,
3 is a good number.
yeah. That's what some people say. Is like, well, that's what's cool about it. It doesn't overstay its welcome. You know?
Yeah, so yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of an unfair question because it's like, yeah, it could have been an amazing 90-minute movie. Oh, maybe it would have sucked.
Because maybe there's some other drama with the priests, this, that, and the other, and then, she visits for the 3rd time, 80 minutes in, and then he gives in, but there's other stuff in between.
Yeah,
That would be my best guess, but I really don't know. Because
yeah,
his movies, a lot of them are structured, very uniquely, so it's hard to tell,
yeah, yeah. What kind of cards he had in his sleeve?
you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep, so that was, Simon of the Desert.
I like how Simon, not of the desert, but Simon of the England, pointed out the same thing that I did with the Life of Brian comparison.
Yeah, I think they were influenced, at least by Buñuel, and maybe this movie
Totally,
specifically.
totally. I would imagine. Life of Brian is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm okay with that.
Oh, Napalm Strike. There
Napalm
is a song
Strike.
called Radioactive Flesh.
There is. Okay. By a band called Napalm Strike.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
the question is,
Radioactive Decay is the Napalm Death song.
oh, okay. But the question would be if there's a band with a song called Radioactive Flesh, is it coincidence or is it inspired from this movie?
I very much doubt it's inspired by the movie.
Me too. Me too. It
Who
most likely is the generic sounding metal song name.
Okay, Napalm Strike is a thrash band.
I could see that.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking up other movies that he did. I mean, he did a bunch of 'em. I have right see behind me next to the Groucho poster is a Belle de Jour poster.
Oh, okay. The white one or the one that's glary or the cream colored one?
There's not a white one. The one to the
The one
right
directly.
of the
Okay.
Groucho,
Yeah. Okay.
that's
Cool.
Belle de Jour.
Okay.
I can bring up the actual image so you can, because it's too hard to see.
Yeah. I definitely haven't seen it, but I want to check out some more stuff. Simon.
I can't find the poster. Fuck. Whatever.
That obscure.
I don't know. Sounds posery to me.
Yeah. Christian thrash. Although that would be funny, Christian thrash. See, we're keeping the theme of Christianity with radioactive flesh. It's all this is all tying together. How about a parody? Maybe they're a parody Christian thrash, Christian thrash parody band. Nothing would be cooler to me, honestly.
oh. Yeah, he also has this movie I really love called Phantom of Liberty. Have you ever seen the Richard Linklater movie um, Slacker?
Ooh, I don't. I'm gonna. I don't think so. It sounds familiar though. I'm looking it up. 1990.
Yeah,
Okay. No, no. No, I haven't seen it. No.
that was basically influenced by Phantom of Liberty. So basically, Slacker is you have one character in Austin, Texas, walking around, and then there's a scene with them, and then they leave and go somewhere else, and then you have a scene with another people. It just like goes from person to person all around Austin, Texas.
That sounds cool. I remember seeing this movie, like I've seen it, like maybe in a video store or something when I was a kid. But
So, and basically, Phantom of Liberty is basically like a bunch of sketches. They have a similar thing where they're making fun of rich people or making fun of religion, but they're all tied together. Um, like it's hard to explain, but it's basically like I'm trying to think of like what the first one was. Let me see here. Um, oh my god! Like, did you ever watch Mr. Show?
yes, yeah, I'm a big fan.
It's sort of like that too, where they would link the story like person there would be a skit and then the person would leave
Yeah,
and then go somewhere else and then the other skit would happen.
yeah,
So it's kind of like that.
yeah.
Um,
Cool. Loose or yeah, sketches that are connected. That I'd watch that.
but it's more connected than with Mr. Show.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
And but Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, I think it would be a good place for someone to start. Just knowing that's the gag is he's making fun of these rich people. Um, that
Or you
all
could start with Simon of the Desert.
Yeah, and this is a good one because it's short. It's short.
Yeah, and not a super difficult watch like I imagine that his surrealist stuff would be.
Yeah, because the Un Chien Andalou and L'Age d'Or, I mean, it's just very just insane. Just there's
Yeah,
not really any plot. Um, just a bunch of stuff happening, kind of. So would not start there.
unless that's your cup of tea.
But I don't know how easy Simon of the Desert is to find. I know Criterion put it out on DVD.
Did they? I'd like to
So
get that.
I think the copy I gave you was like a British DVD or something that I ripped. So I'm not sure how easy it is to find.
Yeah, me
Um,
either.
yeah, because Criterion put out a box set of his last three movies, which were Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, Phantom of Liberty, and That Obscure Object of Desire.
We'll have to try to track that down.
And then that obscure object of desire is basically a man. Like again, it's like a middle-aged, sophisticated rich man. He becomes completely obsessed with a woman and is driven insane. And then he's telling the story of her to somebody.
Oh wow.
Um, and they had two different actresses play the character, and they don't look anything alike.
Like
So
David Lynch type thing going on there.
yeah, so I think that's where David Lynch got that for Lost Highway.
Okay.
So basically, it's framed like he's telling the story about this woman completely ruined his life and was horrible to him. But you sort of realize that it's a very unreliable narrator, that he's kind of the scumbag partially in this.
Oh yeah. But he's more
And,
telling it the way he sees it.
and then and one of the ways that Buñuel shows that is that he has two different women being the same woman. Like they look nothing alike, they act differently.
Yeah.
So to play up this idea that it's totally unreliable, it's just his vision of this woman, and it changes at different points.
Yeah. So it's kind of showing that like his side of the story is maybe not necessarily the way things actually went down.
Yeah,
But
because it
since he's so privileged, he sees himself as the I'm in the right.
right. So because it's set up like this evil woman
Yeah, fucked me over.
wronged me, and let me explain to you.
So it's so
Um,
it's kind of like when you have friends or a buddy that breaks up with a girl and he tells you what happened and you find out later on that like that's not how it happened, like the fucking bitch broke up with me. Like later on, yeah, he was a total douche. Like
and yeah, it's very much of that the old school, like, if I'm rich and I'm paying for everything, then you have to have sex with me, and
yeah,
you know,
you owe me these things.
yeah. Um,
It's worked in the past, therefore it should always work.
because this is 1977, but he feels like he's stuck in the 50s, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, back okay when times were different.
Yeah. If you're paying for dinner and you could slap your date, that's how it worked.
And she better
Unfor-
put out too. I mean, the dinner and a movie, like that's even back then, that's a lot of money. I'm just kidding. Religious entitlement, yet, James, that's absolutely accurate.
But I always thought Discreet Charm with the Bourgeoisie was his funniest movie to me.
It sounds cool.
Um, yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Did you want to add anything else, Eli?
No, I think it pretty much covered it.
All right, so next week we'll do, like I said, Demon Lover Diary, which is on YouTube. Let me make sure it's still wasn't like taken down.
Yeah, because you never know with YouTube.
Yeah, 1980, Demon Lover Diary. It's the making of. Um, let me look. There's a. Let me look up the actual movie because it has so many different names.
Oh yeah, you said it had at least 3 or 4 different names.
Well, that's not because I don't think it's my Demon Lover is a different movie.
Oh, oh, that's right.
Um, yeah, so it's the making of the movie The Demon Lover from 1976,
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. That's still up.
and then the movie The Demon Lover is on Tubi,
Oh, like watch both.
and Gunnar Hansen is in it.
Ah, hell yeah. Damn, I'm surprised I haven't. At least it wasn't more on my radar since I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So and I don't think the movie's that good. It does have like a metal guy in it though. A mid-70s.
I have to
Um,
at least watch it now.
but yeah, I would recommend if you are watch it after the making of.
Okay. That might be the first time I would ever do. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I can't think of another time where I've watched the making of first. Not saying I have a problem with it,
Yeah.
but it's a funny concept.
Um, let me see here. Yeah, it's very Michigan. So hope Scott better be here.
Scott might be in it. He might be in the background just walking by.
That's true.
I mean, at 1 in 5 chances, I would say that he would be. I may not be very good at math, but 1 in 5.
And the quality is pretty bad, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think there's a better version out there. So just be wary.
Not like I'm not used to watching shitty quality stuff, so wouldn't be too much of a jump for me.
Well, this is extra bad. This is
So
VHS bootleg.
VHS, yeah, and who knows how many generations that VHS copy was. Could have been a dub from a dub and then uploaded.
Yeah, probably was. Yeah,
Like some of the shit that you have.
yeah.
So after we're done here, I'm gonna go watch. It looks like I'm gonna go watch. A couple hours ago, Red Letter Media uploaded their review of the Superman movie, and I can already tell they hate it. So
Well, I'm not surprised.
just by the thumbnail. But I hear this is a pretty controversial with the comic book fans and the Superman fans. So, which I was not really a fan of Superman, so I guess that's why it worked for me.
flying around in spandex, some jabroni, fuck,
Yeah,
spandex bitch. Who cares?
yeah, yeah. Him and his black hair with a little
Yeah,
curl,
everyone
doing
knows. Everyone
doing
knows
good.
you're Clark Kent. You dumbass.
Yeah, but the glasses.
Yeah, thank you to Simon and James.
Hell yeah.
Do we had anyone else comment?
Not today. Well, Scott, but
Oh,
that doesn't count.
he doesn't count.
Yeah, we're not going to shout out him. What a waste of breath.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Eli, especially.
Fist bumps for Simon and James.
Yeah. So next week, hopefully Scott returns, and we're going to
It just
talk about
depends if he's in
talk
jail
about
still.
Ted Nugent
Yeah.
and Demon Lover Diary.
Yeah, we are in negotiations right now to try to get Scott out to be able to make it, but we just don't know yet if the great state of Michigan will cooperate.
Yeah. We'll just tell tell them he runs a sex trafficking uh, operation, and then he'll get pardoned and get out of
Yeah,
jail free, and
it's true. His life will actually improve. He'll write a book.
yeah,
Yeah, about how he was the victim. Political.
yeah.
I'm for as long as he shares some of this money with us. I'm totally down. Give us a little
Yeah,
kickback, 10% each.
yeah. I'll buy some Blu-rays with his blood money.
The proceeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome night.
Yes.
Finito.